It was a crisp autumn morning on October 17th, 2018, in the sleepy countryside of the UK, where the small town of Millbrook sat nestled between rolling hills and thick, shadowed forests. The people here knew each other by name, and the days felt like a slower, quieter version of life, untouched by the hustle and bustle of city living. Millbrook High School, a century-old building with brick walls covered in ivy, stood as the heart of the community, serving as a place for both education and social gathering. On this particular day, the school felt no different. The students hurried through the halls, excited for the long weekend ahead. Emily Parker, a 17-year-old student in her final year of high school, was no exception. She was known for her kindness, intelligence, and vibrant personality. Her friends admired her, and teachers trusted her. But as the bell rang for the end of the third period, signaling the beginning of gym class, Emily's name would soon be added to a list no one ever expected. The list of the missing. It all started like any other gym session. The students piled into the locker room to change for their physical education class. Millbrook High's gymnasium was tucked away at the back of the school, the locker rooms adjoining it through a narrow hallway. While most of the students rushed to get changed, talking and joking amongst themselves, Emily took her time, as usual. She had been quiet in the last few days, something her friends had noticed but didn't think much of at the time. Her best friend Lucy was the last to change before the class began, and she noticed something odd. Emily had been standing near her locker for longer than usual, her back turned, seemingly staring at something, or perhaps nothing at all. Lucy called out to her, but Emily didn't respond. It wasn't like Emily to ignore her. Curious, Lucy walked up to her friend, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Em, are you okay?" she asked. But before Emily could answer, something strange happened. Emily turned around quickly, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear, as if she had seen something terrifying, something only she could see. Lucy stepped back, feeling a sudden wave of unease wash over her. Emily's lips parted as if to say something, but no words came out. Her expression was not one of surprise, but of pure terror. "What is it?" Lucy asked, her voice quivering. But Emily didn't answer. She simply nodded toward the back of the locker room, then, without another word, quickly gathered her things and walked toward the door. Lucy watched her, confused, but didn't follow. It wasn't unusual for Emily to be distant at times. She often got lost in her own thoughts. Minutes passed, and the gym teacher, Mrs. Collins, called for the students to line up in the gym. But when Emily didn't show up, something didn't feel right. Lucy's concern grew, and she quickly walked back into the locker room to check on her friend. But Emily was gone. At first, they thought she had left for the bathroom or had gone home early, though that would have been highly unusual. But when the next class period began and Emily still hadn't returned, panic started to settle in. Her friends began asking around, but no one had seen her since she walked toward the locker room exit. Mrs. Collins immediately contacted the principal, and a search was launched. Teachers, staff, and even the local police began looking for Emily, combing the school grounds and nearby areas. Hours went by, but there was no sign of Emily Parker. No phone call, no messages, no clue to where she could have gone. The school was turned upside down, but nothing. It wasn't until late in the evening, when the school's janitor, Mr. Harris, was performing his usual rounds, that he made the discovery. When he entered the locker room to clean, he saw something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. At first, he thought it was just another abandoned gym bag or some forgotten towel. But as he neared the back corner, where the old, unused lockers stood, his flashlight flickered, revealing something far worse. Inside one of the lockers, Emily's lifeless body was stuffed in an unnatural, almost grotesque position. The police were immediately called, and the entire town was thrown into turmoil. But despite an exhaustive investigation, no one could explain how Emily had ended up in that locker. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and no evidence of anyone else being involved. To this day, the tragic story of Emily Parker haunts the small town of Millbrook. Her death in the school locker room remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries the town has ever witnessed. Despite endless investigations and countless theories, no concrete evidence ever surfaced. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and no witnesses who saw anything unusual that day. At least, not anything they could explain. After Emily's body was found, Millbrook High School tried to return to normal. The locker room where her body was discovered was permanently sealed off. But even after all these years, whispers of strange occurrences still circulate among the students and staff. Some claim to hear soft footsteps echoing in the gymnasium late at night, long after everyone has gone home. Others report seeing a shadowy figure standing near the old locker room door, only for it to vanish the moment they get closer. The janitor, Mr. Harris, left his job not long after discovering Emily's body, citing that he couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was still in the school, watching from the shadows. Lucy, Emily's best friend, moved away shortly after the incident, unable to cope with the loss. But before she left, she confided in a teacher that there was something deeply unsettling about Emily's behavior in those final moments. She saw something, Lucy whispered. Something she couldn't explain. And I think it's still here. Over time, the townspeople crafted their own stories and theories. Some believe Emily was the victim of a dark ritual tied to the town's hidden history. Others think she was targeted by a malevolent force that still lingers in the school to this day. But no matter how many stories spread, one fact remains clear. Emily Parker's death was far from ordinary, and her presence has never truly left. Millbrook High School continues to operate, but the legend of Emily Parker casts a shadow over its halls. Every October, on the anniversary of her death, students report an eerie feeling. Locker doors swinging open by themselves, flickering lights in the gymnasium, and that unmistakable sense of being watched. Some say Emily is still searching for answers. Others believe she's trapped in the place where she met her tragic fate. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: Millbrook High will never forget the name Emily Parker. Her story lives on, whispered through the halls, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. As you turn off the lights tonight, remember this: sometimes the most ordinary places hold the darkest secrets, and sometimes the ones who are gone never truly leave.